Tale of the tape for Prince Naseem Hamed against Kevin Kelley. And there's speculation that once he gets to the ring,
opportunity and a big challenge, and if they go back to work at it, they can revive themselves.
And as you take a look at Kevin's record, you might reflect that he's fought 14 times as a...
Remember, just the fake to make contact. Title by me, my feet.
This is so silly, it's kind of great. George, you seem stupefied.
I like it. I really like it.
Well, it certainly seems for much of the crowd, that's for sure.
This is what boxing needs, I'm telling you.
Well, if we want to get young people under the tent.
Borgia in the ring has the pads on his hands and is inviting Kevin Kelley to go ahead and warm up against the pads. The two of them building their anger and stoking a fire that's been burning for months, while the Prince dawdles behind the screen. Hector Camacho, Jorge Paez, Michael Jackson, and P.T. Barnum all rolled into one.
You know, when you're accustomed to doing things like this in your home and you come out and don't do it when you're abroad, it can mess with your psyche. So he may be trying to protect every little edge he has.
Well, he knows he owns London. He now believes he owns New York.
Believing is half of it.
George, do you think that a prize fighter's stardom is transferable the way a rock group's stardom is when you come across the ocean?
If you win, you're able to do it, but you've got to win, and you've got to win big.
Kelley moving and dancing and pumping punches as he walks around the ring. He offered to us that he thinks he's seen some of Hamed's opponents get distracted, get cold while waiting in the ring for the Prince to come in, and that he would not be a victim of that.
Well, twice he traveled to Britain to watch Hamed in person, so he is as prepared for this as anyone might be. Is this all smoke and mirrors?
Well, smoke. And I don't mean Derek Gainer.
Boy, he's really working on Kevin Kelley.
We're clocking this in our control truck. It's almost 4 minutes now, and you can see what Kevin thinks of it.
Come on out here and fight. To bump into Phil Borgia, Kelley's trainer. And now face-to-face with Kevin, and the fisticuffs almost begin before the official introductions.
Let's get ready to rumble! His thing. When another fighter starts to partake in it, he's at a disadvantage. And that's what happened. Kelley started to go into the wrong kind of stuff. He didn't need that.
He got into Naz's world. It'll be interesting to see if it diminishes him in any way.
He started to trash talk. The next thing you know, he'll start fighting trashing.
They're both southpaws, although with Naseem Hamed, it hardly matters. He will whirl and spring in the air. He'll throw punches at odd angles from either side.
Hook, bob, and weave. You don't want to get out there waiting.
Switches to a conventional stance.
Kelley, it seems, has a bad right eye. It seems to react as soon as it's touched by any punch.
Well, you saw the swelling in the Derek Gainer fight, the bad swelling on both eyes in the Alejandro Gonzalez fight. Kevin Kelley's had 50 pro fights, and he's been in too many wars for the taste of most of his supporters. They want to see Kevin box.
So far, Hamed has beaten Kelley to the punch with both hands.
The good thing about Kelley, the fight is on no matter what. If it goes into 6th round, he still believes that I can get a knockout, so he's willing to waste a few rounds.
First 2 minutes of the fight, Hamed is a puzzle that Kelley is unable to solve. But down goes the Prince on Kelley's first serious landed punch. A looping right hand put Hamed down. Second time in his career he's been down in the first round. Puerto Rican Daniel Alisea was able to do it too. Also in the first round, but then Hamed came back to knock him out in the second.
We all were wondering what was going to happen when he caught a punch from Kelley. We saw it.
Yeah, and Kelley believes in his power, so you'll never discourage him, even if his eyes are swollen, if he's cut.
Kelley just missed with a hard left hand. Hamed switches into a conventional stance. Kevin, for a couple of beats, was in a conventional stance himself. Now he goes back to his regular southpaw. Hamed switching from side to side as he faces the man who has floored him in the first round.
Now watch Hamed commit a cardinal sin in boxing, leaning back after throwing a flurry. Kelley was there and caught him. Can't do that with a top fighter.
Kelley landed only 10 punches in the first round, but it only took one to do the damage which won him the round.
Now they will get a good, powerful right jab by Kevin Kelley.
Strong jab. Backs Naseem up. Naseem in the ropes. First time he's been in the ring with a fighter of Kevin Kelley's class. The wonderful thing coming into tonight was you knew that anything could happen. And one of the things that could happen would be that the Prince was exposed as a fraud. His gloves touch the canvas. The count begins. The second knockdown for Kelley. So one knockdown in each round now for Kevin Kelley.
Yeah, I think the last knockdown was fluke.
Kelley was down. I thought that was a knockdown that Kelley should have been scored for a knockdown.
Benji Esteves waved it off and ruled it a slip. So it does not count as a knockdown against Kelley. Hamed's been down twice. The knockdown, the apparent knockdown of Kelley ruled a slip. Hard right hand inside by Kelley.
The Prince has not seen this kind of power before.
Well, but Hamed is supposed to have power of his own with his quickness, and we haven't seen the evidence of that as yet.
I think the mistake he made, there we saw it, right there.
There's the power. There's the power you were talking about. And Kelley is stunned.
Hey, come on, baby.
And Hamed nods to him. Now we're in a fight.
Green light, no. Watch that over, watch that over. Let's go.
And Kelley gets out of his boxing stance and decides to go to war. Now he settles back.
The more Naseem decides to be orthodox, the more trouble he gets himself into. So it's at his advantage to stay wild. Drop your hand, make this guy wait for you.
Kelley lands a hard chopping left and another.
You can see Naseem is trying to get the rhythm to Kelley, and he's not able to do that.
Dropping his hands, having seen knockdowns for each.
We don't see this very often in one round, a fighter getting knocked down twice. You saw that Kelley landed a left and then a right. The first one was a knockdown. The referee was a little late getting in as he got up again. But he did bounce up. Give him that. And they're flush on the jaw. Kelley, like Junior Jones, his pal in the first fight, got a little cocky with his power, left himself open, and caught one from Hamed.
And that's what was ruled a slip right there, Larry.
It could have been ruled a knockdown. It wasn't round because even though they split knockdowns, his knockdown was more convincing and he landed more punches in the rest of the round.
Naseem is getting hit with punches. He's causing himself to be off balance by throwing his head back and forward. But the knockdown that Kelley received was a true knockdown.
Ducks from side to side, trying to get away from punches. Takes a hard left from Kelley there. And lands a hard right hand of his own.
That was power by Naseem.
Well,
that was a good jab by Kevin Kelley that did some damage.
Kelley lands a left cross. Hamed ducking, sliding along the ropes. Not throwing as many punches in this round. Hamed seeming to have gone into a little bit of a caution state here as the result of the damage that Kevin Kelley's been able to do.
Yeah, it's the jab by Kevin Kelley that's being most effective now. If he just maintained that right jab, he can make this an easy fight.
And as we pointed out, that's another thing Phil Borgia said. He said, my man has the better jab and the longer.
Hamed seems to see dropping his hands in there is not getting him any advantage. So dropping those hands with Kelley can call good night. You got to keep your hands up with a guy like Kelley.
right now, Hamed.
Trade right hands. Kevin's was the harder of the two. Good left uppercut by Prince Naseem. Right hand lands again as well. Naseem starting to come out of his shell and get more aggressive again.
You want to say to Naseem, stop pulling back with your head, but then you lose the total fighter.
You wanted to say that to Muhammad Ali, too.
Yeah, but you lose the total fighter because they do what they do. It makes them so good.
Let's go.
Asking this fighter not to get into a war. He wants him to pick Kelley off with his jab. Ping, ping.
When you're fighting a boxer with a jab, you almost have to war. Get into a war. Kelley's got a good left jab, right jab.
He sure does. Naseem lands a couple power punches. Kevin Kelley lands a hard left hand. Kelley misses with the right and misses wildly with the right. But Naseem not in a position to counter either time.
Watch that elbow.
Seems that Kevin Kelley is getting the best of the counterpunch, and you would expect the opposite.
They trade in short bursts and flurries. Naseem landing more accurately in this round than has been the case before, but taking some leather in return. Down goes Kelley on two hard left hands.
6, 7, 8, get in. Back up.
Now they're even. Both fighters down twice in the fight.
Ooh, a good
Blistering
straighten up
right hand by Hamed. Kelley a little slow to respond here.
You got to be careful mixing up with Kelley because he can fight.
That's going to be ruled a knockdown as Naseem's glove grazed the canvas. So there's the count for that. Third knockdown of Hamed by Kelley, and the Naseem advocates in the crowd boo that. Hard left hand by Kelley, and a right hand shot. Leaping right hand by the Prince, and a hard left, and Kelley's down for the third time.
Whoa!
6, 7, 8, 9.
He's got a half a minute, and he is
gone.
definitely hurt.
He's
and the
for real.
fight is over.
He's for real. The Prince is for
Unbelievable
real.
punching power, George.
It's almost like De La Hoya. You don't know where they get the power from.
What we just saw was the Hagler Hearns of featherweight fighting. We have never seen a fight like this in the featherweight division on this level.
Unquestionably the most memorable fight of 1997, and Kevin Kelley doesn't want it to end.
What were there in this fight? 6 knockdowns?
All right, let me give him some air. Let me give him some air.
I've ever boxed.
And I'm the best. And you're going to do it again, right? And you're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Going to do it again.
Stop for more money, motherfucker. I got to kill the canvas boy.
We're going to do this again. Let's go. Give me water. Give me water.
Spot. And George, who wouldn't want to see it again?
Oh, I would love to see it again. I want to see that entry again. Win a lot of fights.
George, this was like your fight with Ron Lyle. Gunslinger against gunslinger.
Boy, this guy's got power all in his hand. He's not putting his body into it, just hand speed.
That was the first Prince Naseem knockdown of Kelley in that round. Then here's the Prince going down.
I don't really think that was a knockdown. I think that this guy stooped so low, he has a tendency to touch his hands down to the canvas.
Well, if his glove grazes the canvas, the referee is within his rights to rule it a knockdown, and Benji Esteves did. And then that stunning left hand, and Kevin Kelley unable to get up from that left hand. He couldn't beat the count, and Esteves very properly waved an end to the bout.
A lot of that is, I just can't believe it. Kelley has that look. He just does not believe this guy can knock him down.
Well, Kevin's people have been saying for weeks, we want him to box. We hope he doesn't indulge his tendency to get into a war. He couldn't resist it. Couldn't resist it. It seemed too easy.
But this Prince, he has the Prince of Power. Talk about the Prince of Power. We've seen one in the
5 feet 3 inches tall, but George at 5'3", of course, he's a little stockier than other featherweights.
He seems to have all his power in his legs.
And let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we give the official time, how about a round of applause for the great effort by these two featherweights in the ring at this time, Kevin Kelley and the Prince. The official time, 2 minutes, 27 seconds of round number 4. Referee Benji Esteves calls a halt to the bout. The winner and still the undefeated WBO featherweight champion of the world, Prince Naseem Hamed.
All right, Naseem, congratulations.
Thanks a lot, my man.
You describe what happened in this fight tonight.
Well, first of all, I come out the first round, and I know my jab was too clean and nice and fast, but still, I wanted a bit of a fight. I wanted to cause so much excitement in this arena. It's my first night, it's my first fight in New York, Madison Square Garden, and I wanted to show the people here that I can fight. I can take it on the chin, and I can give it. End of the day, he caught me some great shots, all due respect to Kevin, but I wanted to basically take him out, and I just really want to show all my skill on the night. I wanted to make it look exciting for everybody, so I had to take some shots, but I give my shots. Now, I took his, but did he take mine?
Well, we're going to watch round 1 and the knockdown in round 1 when you were knocked down. Were you?
My hair looked good.
Were you stunned by what was going on here? Was he presenting a different picture than you imagined?
I didn't really see the shot, so I've got to give it him. But look at me, straight up. That's the heart of a lion. That is a heart of a lion. Right. A champion's heart, straight up. Compose myself, get back. Even though I got hit with some good shots, I came back and I gave him my shots, and he didn't take my shot. No.
You fought in what appeared to be a more orthodox fashion than you have in other fights. Explain why.
Because I was here, it's my first time Madison Square Garden. I wanted to cause some exciting. I wanted a fight. I know I can fight. I know when it comes down to it, when it comes down to heart and the heart of a champion and getting in there and taking the fight, whatever you've got to take, you've got to give. And I give mine, and he gave his, and he couldn't take it. I knew.
When did you sense that he was weakening and that he couldn't really take your power?
Well, I started getting closer and closer. I knew once I hit him. Now, he went down before I took him out, and the referee looked in his eyes, and he couldn't take any of it. He couldn't take no more. If the referee let me at him again, it'd have been the best.
All right, look
at that. There you go. There you go. Now, if I didn't walk up to him as fast as I did,
he wouldn't get up. Second round.
There you go. All I hit him with a perfect right hand. Now look, you can see him smiling, but he knows the pain. I was smiling when he hit me. I was smiling, but at the end of the day, my feet was back together, my head was clear. I got up straight away, composed myself, and took him out.
It seemed that both of you liked and respected each other.
Definitely. Kevin is a very, very nice guy. I get on with Kevin, I got on with Tom Johnson, all the American fighters. The great guys in and out the ring. So end of the day, I just want to fight. And I did that, and I took him out. I came to America, I proved myself. I'm 29-0. What can I say? The last time they've all gone knockouts now from 94. I've stopped every one of them from 94.
Repeat what you said to Kevin at the end of the fight.
Kevin, you're probably one of the best I box, if not the best. I know I'm the best you've boxed, and he said that to me and all. And we've got great respect for each other, but end of the day, I am the world champion, and people have got to realize I am the champion of the world.
Thank you very much, Prince.
He was saying, just stick to the game plan. It would have been
Okay, Kevin, thank you very much for a terrific and a memorable fight. You give us your version of what happened and why it happened to you at the end.
Well, the biggest thing, I'm so sorry to people in New York. I was protecting my house and my house that Ruth built. I deviated. That's what I did. Phil was telling me the right information. We trained the right way, and what happened was I had him big time. I could hurt him when I hit him. I hit harder than he did. And I felt his power. It wasn't as big as he said it was. It wasn't bigger than everybody thinks it is. And I showed him mine. And when I showed him mine, I hurt him. And the difference was, I blame myself for getting overanxious and becoming acceptable to get hit by him.
When you hit a guy that hard and you knock him down, there's a tendency to believe you can do it again and want to get rid of him, right?
I did it many times, and that's what happened. I kept doing it. I continued to do it. But the problem was, I wanted to keep him there. And because I wasn't keeping him there, I started getting overanxious, and that's when I got caught with the first punch that knocked me down. It was more of a flash knockdown, but like I said, I get up and I continue.
All right, let's take a look at what happened in round one, your knockdown of him.
Right here, I'm setting him up. He's getting overanxious. I noticed when I hit him with the first punch, I said, man, every time I hit him, I hurt him. Everybody says about Crystal Chins, one thing about him, I showed tonight, he's not as good as he says he is. He's a good fighter. I give him most due respect. He's champion tonight. He came on top. The only reason I'm not champion tonight, I want to let everybody know, no fear, who endorsed me, and EA or Sports Game, which I'm coming out on. The reason I lost tonight because I deviated from my training sports.
Well, but then he gets credit for making you deviate, doesn't he?
No, I deviated because of me. I'm the kind of fighter that Phil always tells me, my wife always tells me, my father tells me, I'm my worst enemy.
All right, let's turn to the end of the fight and your memory of what happened. If we can get there, you have suffered one previous knockdown in this round.
Well, here I'm trying to set him up with the jab. He's very careless. He does a lot of mistakes. Here with the overhand left. As you can see, I'm down, but I'm not really that hurt. I'm gonna stay down a little while, but just like okay, cool. I'm understandable. I'm gonna get up to count of 8. I got to count of 8. Take the rest. You see me, I'm a veteran at this. I know what it is to get knocked down. I figure I'll take the full rest. Phil was telling me grab him. I'm looking at the corner. I wanted to come back. Because what happens is when he starts loading and throwing, he starts getting overanxious himself, and he was getting caught.
But you have to give him credit for his power. He came into you. He came into your building, and he took care of business.
He came in my building, but one thing he said, I'm the best fighter he's ever fought, never will fight. The bottom line is that
let's see if we get the rematch. They said
I can do it again down the road somewhere. Right now,
Kevin, you were just a part of the Hagler-Hearns of the featherweight division. You have nothing to be ashamed of.
Well, I started this. I'm happy. I'm content. My wife's content with everything that's went on. She's a little angry at what has happened in this whole event. But hey, Kevin Kelley came. He showed that Hamed is not the fighter everybody says he is, not the Roy Jones.
Thank you a lot, Kevin.